Thanks for tuning in to It's a Guy Thing podcast. I'm Mario.
I'm Rick.
This is Michael, also known as Mike.
A.K.A. Mike. Mike-a-nator?
Unceremoniously, a.k.a.
Okay. Just alter ego.
MK47.
Yeah.
This is pretty much how the rest of the show is going to go, guys. It's just kind of a grab bag. But if you're down with it, then let's get it on.
All right, guys. So what's been going on? What's new in your world?
I've heard
M&Ms.
I've heard like that's the most disgusting thing for people to listen to is other people eating or
Well, good.
drinking.
That's what you get for listening. Getting punished.
Wow.
You get all the colors of the rainbow.
So what's the big deal with the M&Ms? By the way, blue. That's the.
I don't know.
Do one of y'all know about this whole blue M&M thing?
Blue balls?
Is that a new
No
thing?
idea what you're
Is that a meme?
I don't know what that is, but I'm just saying. Apparently, are there any blue M&Ms in your bag?
There were.
Maybe I've got the color wrong.
This is the last one.
That looks green.
It is. So this is the last one, like the last M&M.
Oh, okay.
I ate the blue ones. I remember the red ones. That used to be a thing.
Gotcha.
That could also be fake. People always said that, but
What do you mean that it was a thing?
they said like the red number 6 or whatever was give people cancer.
That's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
along the lines of what I was thinking about.
But this might be a new thing that people are. I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking.
Anyway, so did you guys get your World Cup on? Did
No.
you wear your flag of your favorite country?
Nope. Today was the Super Bowl, the grand finale.
Today was the final.
Oh,
Today was Germany and Argentina going for the World Cup final.
Did you get to see any of it?
I watched some of it. I think as a sports guy, I try to be pretty much engaged or excited about any giant thing or a polarizing event. So I know how big soccer is worldwide. I know it's big in the United States, at least while our country is in it. But
But even then, people in our country don't even care about the U.S.
yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
and that's, there's some people that are super hardcore about it. I mean, if you looked in the stands when the U.S. was playing, there was tons of U.S. people that were there in the stands that flew to Brazil and spent money and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. And again, I understand the sport for the most part. I did have to ask a couple of different people some basic rules, like when they're in the group stage, why is it okay for a match to end in a tie? And then they get points for a tie, and they don't get points for a loss, and they get more points for a win. And then when they get into the knockout stage, then it's okay to do penalty kicks and stuff like that. And I love the penalty kicks. That's kind of the thing I wait for to see those kicks at the end. It reminds me of playing Nick's FIFA game in '94 at his house. But anyway, more fascinating was the business of soccer. A lot of it, I think I've kind of known with David Beckham playing for the LA Galaxy, and I think he had like a 5-year, $250 million contract or something like that a long time ago. And I kind of remember,
relevant.
Yeah, and I think even when he signed that, he was kind of already just a name. He was already out of his prime. So,
Oh yeah.
Rick has knocked out his mic stand for the
You
third
said you
time
were
tonight.
leaving.
that's nice, man. You look good holding that up.
Keep going.
So
You look like Danzig, actually. You got to do the Axel dance.
this is a good time
Do
to
that asshole.
No,
dance.
but this is a good time to have a video podcast so people
I
can
know.
see why
What
everything's
just happened?
flailing like this.
And Mario further sabotaging me.
How late were you?
Were these cords plugged in when I got here? Ooh,
Hey, I left
never
that whole
never
thing
are.
ready
Good,
to go
Mark.
for you.
Why are you cutting on his topic? Good.
It's not my topic. I was just curious if y'all watched it since today is the day.
But
But anyway, so there's a player from Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo, who I guess currently is considered like the top dog in soccer. Concordantly, right now, the NBA free agency market has been a big deal. So there's been contracts and money floating around all over the place, and everyone's been talking about LeBron, where he's going to play, and Carmelo Anthony, and all this stuff. And we're talking about guys signing contracts that are going to pay them anywhere from $20 to $22 million per year, blah blah blah. Right? So I'm looking at this guy Cristiano Ronaldo's 2013 salary information with the club that he plays for. Now, he plays for Portugal in his country, but he actually plays for Real Madrid's club team, which I assume is Spain, just using my logic.
Oh,
Probably,
yeah,
that's what I would
probably.
assume.
Right? Okay, I'm going to assume the same
I
thing.
could be wrong.
I'm going to assume Real Madrid is based in Spain and not in his home city of Portugal, home country of Portugal. But the point is, a lot of these great soccer players all play for club teams all over the world that has nothing to do with their country's allegiance. So this guy in 2013, he made $49 million as his base salary, another $25 million in endorsements. So in 2013, he cleared $74 million. But here's the part that blows my mind. In American sports, in basketball or football or baseball, if you're a free agent and your contract is expired with your current team, you can move teams and join another team, and that team now pays your salary, and that's it. But in soccer, when Cristiano Ronaldo, before he was with Real Madrid, he was playing for Manchester United. Now, I know very, very little about soccer, but I definitely know that name. I know Manchester United. That's a sport. That's a club soccer team I hear the name of, and I know exactly who it is. And I know that they're based in England and all that stuff.
They're like the Dallas Cowboys of...
Yeah. Right.
It's
And I guess because of Beckham, I know of Man U, and because of Beckham, I know of the LA Galaxy, and that's it. If you asked me to name one other United States club team, I couldn't do it. So Ronaldo, when he was playing for Manchester United, Real Madrid decided they wanted this guy to play for them, so they paid that team. Real Madrid paid Man U $131.5 million to get the rights to Ronaldo. And so now he's playing for Real Madrid, and so now if a team wants to poach him from Real Madrid, they have to pay them $1 billion
That's
to get
crazy.
this guy.
But that's why, like I was kind of mentioning to you earlier.
That's
like,
not the salary. That's to get him, to acquire him.
So that's his rights.
That's his rights. To get him from one team to another, they have to pay Real Madrid $1 billion.
$1 billion. And is that
ridiculous, man.
so? Okay, so again, I have less knowledge than you about soccer. So, if they were to do that, and this gentleman were to go play for them, is there any way to recoup any of that investment? So, in other words, if he comes over and he sucks, or he gets hurt and never plays again,
Is there insurance?
or is that just like straight up like that's the rights plus that's not the part that's like there's no guarantees.
There's no, as far as I understand,
it's just the right to have him.
yeah, as far as I understand, I don't know. Again, I don't know the business of it besides just these little factoids. But my understanding is this has nothing to do with what the team spending that money gets in return, other than the player's rights. They still got to pay that guy the actual salary he's going to earn. And apparently, soccer is so incredibly polarizing as a global sport that money is a drop in the bucket, because they get so much back in endorsements and in sponsorships and in crowd participation. And you think about that, the United States has, the three majors, which I've talked about before. The three majors being, football, basketball, baseball. You can talk about hockey, but I wouldn't say it's as completely universal as the big three. So we'll just call the United States sports big three those, and leave it at that. In the U.S., I would say hockey and then soccer are kind of like your next tier. This is just this is my opinion. Please feel free to disagree with me. But to then see in the rest of the world, the only sport of those three that I'm aware of that is currently kind of got a universal global hold is basketball, where right now you're seeing an influx of talent from countries all over the place, Europe and China and the South American countries as well. So it's currently the most global sport. You don't see American football really taking hold outside of the United States. Of course, baseball has its niche countries that bring over, top talent. You see a lot of really phenomenal pitchers come over from Japan. You see a lot of talent come out of, Puerto Rico and a lot of other associated countries, from different regions. But again, not as global. So my point is, soccer is kind of the sport outside of the United States for the rest of the countries. That is the thing,
right?
And so when I hear those numbers, they're staggering. But I guess if you kind of put it in perspective, if they're paying it, there must be something sensible behind it. So fascinating just to hear these kind of numbers being thrown around. That this one guy has that kind of valuation, that his salary. You got guys like LeBron and Carmelo Anthony or Tony Romo and all these, quote unquote superstars that command these max salary contracts and stuff like that, and they're fighting for negotiations of, this much million to get the deal done and not. And then you got these soccer guys who just eclipse these salaries completely out of the water. It's not even close, and it's like to steal from a Boiler Room when he's like, these guys are macking it hard,
So I have a question about that. Again, this is from a person who has no knowledge about soccer. So how is that viewed in other countries? Because in this country here, right, and we assume the global perspective of the United States is that like we're a privileged country. Everybody here is entitled. Everybody here has a lot more luxuries than anyone else in the world. And even here, when a football player, basketball player signs a ridiculous contract, we as Americans go, "Oh my God, that's crazy! He's not worth it. Is he going to blah blah blah?" How do countries that support some of these bigger club soccer teams view it when, assuming like say whatever a country like Greece or somewhere or some even like a third world country who is got some kind of like financial dire straits?
Yeah, like
and they have a guy.
Ghana was one of the teams we played in the U.S. group, and I'm assuming, I don't know Ghana's GDP, but I'm assuming they don't have the same economies of scale the U.S. does.
Right? And we assume that their players are making, it's the
Big
same
money.
type of money that a player here would be making, right? It's not like they're not paying them in pebbles or Skittles. Like it's the same kind of money. So it's I'm saying I wonder what that perspective it is for them to look at some guy like that who's probably making more money than 90% of the people in the entire country. You know what I mean? Like
I wonder if, and this is just me throwing stuff completely out of the air, but let's flip the U.S. model and look at the countryside of it. I wonder if people over there in any country, it doesn't matter what country it is, but let's take country X. And let's say some of the population that are cheering or even attending games and scraping money to go to games, let's assume that that's a big deal for them. It's a big sacrifice to support their soccer teams or the club teams or whatever it is. And rather than begrudge these guys these big contracts, maybe they're sort of rooting for them as like a hero. Like, yeah, he did it.
I can be that.
Yeah, he did it. No, I mean, like even if they can't be that, they're thinking like, good for you, man. Someone here should do that. Someone here should get that. Get yours. Like, we're proud of you. We're rooting for you. Go get it. Go get a swimsuit model and go get $80 million a year. And, we're going to be rooting for you the whole way. We're going to be crazy about you and wear your jersey. And we can't wait to see you in the World Cup in 3 years, But in the meantime, we'll go to your club games and cheer you on or however. I mean, I wonder
but that's the thing too, because a lot of these like superstars, I mean, they yes, in World Cup or like international friendly matches, they play for their own country, but for the most part, they're playing for European teams. I mean, like the Premier League is like, that's the top tier soccer league like in the world. So if you're from Ghana or you're from the United States or you're from Germany or whatever, like you're playing, that's the league that you're playing in. So you're not even, you're playing for more than likely a British team or some European team. You're not even playing for your own country's team. So, I mean, yes, there is still that part where people can go, hey, look, that guy's from my country and he's playing on this level, but it's still the same thing. It's like you're not, I just wonder, and I'm wondering about that perspective because
I'm curious too because I don't think any one of us three have any kind of expertise, and this could be some future topic where we have an expert come in and just completely school us on all of this. But in the meantime, it's just one of those things where when all I'm left with is TV coverage, seeing the fans in the stand, and reading little factoids about people's salaries and stuff like that, and the money that goes into the business of it. It's fascinating. One other thing I'll talk on this topic before we move on is the 2018 World Cup is going to be in Russia. Well, in the meantime, I remember reading a while back, and I can't remember the details in my head are kind of skittish, but I remember when Greece hosted the Olympics in whatever year that was, that they went out of their way to bid for it, and they really wanted it to come to Greece. And of course, is Athens not isn't that sort of the site of like the original
the Roman games,
right?
Right.
So kind of putting all that together, it was really a big deal for Greece of getting the rights to the Olympics and having to spend all the money to build all the facilities like the stadiums for the different sports and this and that. Didn't it bankrupt their country or have some role in bankrupting that country? Or something like that. Did either of you hear any about that?
No.
Okay, well, I could be completely wrong, but I thought that was some part of like their economy suffering and that they've had all these issues with being insolvent as an actual country. Anyway, we're sorry if we're just completely stepping on facts. All of you that are listening can be like, I actually know the exact thing on that.
And
Good.
if you do, you can call us at 210-802-1197 and leave a voicemail, and we'll play it on the air.
There you
go. Beautiful.
And while we're talking money that we don't know anything about, Ghana's GDP in 2012, this is all that the first hit on Google gives me,
okay,
it was $40.71 billion.
$40.7 billion?
Yeah, so let's say $40 billion. That was their GDP.
Now what's the United States?
In the same year, $15 trillion.
For the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, so that puts it in
So
perspective.
that should put things in perspective. to some
15
degree.
trillion for the United States, 40 billion for Ghana. Okay, so now I think we're kind of talking with a little bit more juice behind our idea here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Brazil being the host country, which by the way sucks to be a Brazil fan, they were unceremoniously embarrassed in not only the game that could have potentially advanced them to the final, but even in that consolation game, both times just completely annihilated. The Germany 7-1 score. Like I said, I don't watch a ton of soccer, but I try to jump on the temporary bandwagons just to, when it comes to something like this, just to engage myself, because now that it's over, I won't be watching club games. I won't be following a specific club team or anything like that. You can't watch the United States play the next games until they start trying to qualify again. So I'll try to keep up with it more. I think I want to try to get a little more educated about it. Mm-hmm. As a basketball guy, foremost, it's kind of hard to get into the sport where 1-0 is the big finale of it. Won! But
well, it's like hockey too.
But I'm trying to see it, and I think the more I engaged myself and watched a couple of matches, I kind of started to get a bigger feel for it, and it was pretty cool. It's going to take a little bit longer for me to really say honestly, I'm super stoked and a fanatic or anything like that. But I definitely respected it. I got to see a lot of the really finely tuned athleticism and skill required in the game. Certainly nothing I could ever skillfully go do out in the field and say, guys, let's go kick the soccer ball around. I think I'd just want to try and kick goals 1 foot away from the goal and watch the net snap. But anyway, so Brazil is the host country, and they were asked by FIFA to build 8 stadiums to host all the different games. And I didn't realize that while the World Cup's going on with these 32 countries, all these different matches are taking place simultaneously in totally different cities in the country. Well, they went ahead and built 12 instead of 8. Mm-hmm. And I think something like 2 of the 12 at minimum don't have any club team or any team of any kind to occupy them from here on, that they're just going to sit there, these gigantic expenditures. So Putin just said, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, premier, whatever, he said for the 2018 World Cup, they're going to spend $20 billion. He's already put it out there and said, we're going to spend
GDP of Ghana.
We're going to spend half the GDP of Ghana, $20 billion.
What's Russia's GDP?
To build our everything that's going to be encompassing of hosting the World Cup. So the business of sports that we know very little about is actually humongous to the rest of the world.
Russia's is $2 trillion. That was in 2012.
$2 trillion to $15 trillion, and yet they have either close to as many, or if not more, nuclear warheads than us. All right.
God. And I know it's fascinating. I find it fascinating, but I also find it completely disgusting that this much money is being spent on sports when, as a country, our education system is failing, our government is failing. Everything's like China's surpassing us. We don't have a space program anymore.
But part of that, though, you have to look at is,
but go USA.
No, but
it is. This stuff is funded by the fans, though, Mario. It's not like that.
It's not.
But okay.
It's not the rainy day
fund.
So
is the everyday person? Do they care about NASA? Probably not.
No.
Well, that's why we're gonna suck. That's why we're not gonna move forward.
Because they don't make NASA jerseys, man. There's no,
Armstrong #1.
If you can't sell it and market it and put it on reality TV or in some ridiculous commercial and get people to jump all over it, you're not gonna. You're not going to get the backing.
I mean, that makes sense, though. I mean, that's an interesting point you just brought up. Kidding aside, because you look at here in the United States right now, our quote heroes you see are celebrities, right? So you whether it's obviously there's
Kardashians.
Well, I mean, at the top you have athletes, right? Actually, it's probably superstar musicians, then athletes, then actors, then you have the fake celebrities, right?
Yeah.
They're famous for nothing.
Yeah.
But you figure that's in general the spectrum of what we consider today something to aspire to beyond the norm, right? There's no
sick
heroes in that sense where I want to be like John F. Kennedy when I grow up, or I want to be like Neil Armstrong. And yes, I mean it's of course there's people that are doing wonderful things for the world and people that are sacrificing themselves and activists and this and that. But again, if you walk up to someone on the street and ask them to name 5 of those people, They couldn't, probably, and neither could I. But I could name 5, rappers off the top of my head. Well, I don't know. I barely listen to rap. You know what I'm saying? So that's a thing. But the point I mean is that, like you said about NASA, where there was a time when that was something that was like an astronaut was a national hero.
Yeah.
And, but again, like, to your point, that's not something they're pumping money into that. They're not trying to get kids to be astronauts.
No,
and
they're
I guess
privatizing
and actually, that's, I don't know. And I don't know enough about that. But at the same time, I can say, like, usually when I flip through my Instagram or my Twitter, like a big chunk of the tweets are from NASA, or pictures that are from NASA's Instagram feed. So there's that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that applies to someone who's younger than me, who's looking for that type of direction to go, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. I don't know how that translates, because I guess I don't get that. You know what I mean? But
so how about we do this instead? What are the top? Let's just do 3 per person. Top 3 most important jobs that you believe exist in the world.
Important jobs?
Like if without these types of 3 people or this particular
is
type
this without
of job,
cynicism?
Yes, without cynicism. Like if you could instantly say these jobs are the 3 most important and they should be held that way. Like for me, teachers.
Okay, yeah.
The people that spend the most time with our kids, aside from us, are teachers. Mm-hmm. They're in charge of developing our kids' mentalities, partially personalities, trying to teach them how to be adults, trying to teach them education, the history of how things are, the way to be in the future, and they make, like, nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, like, I'll do my 3 first.
Well, comparatively to rock stars.
Right. I mean,
athletes,
like,
yes.
Yes, music is important to me, but I wouldn't put a musician in the top 3.
Right.
For me, you would have teachers. You would have, like, I don't even have a good number.
You already ran out.
I already ran out.
You already ran out.
Teachers. No, teachers, police. And the thing about that would be good police. And then you can go into a whole bunch of things about good or bad.
And that's why I brought up cynicism, because it's easy to go, like,
that's true. That's
probably
true.
One of the most influential people.
Or firefighters.
One of the most influential people in the entire world, would you say, is the position of the U.S. president. But it's easy to be cynical and be, politicians are blah blah, and it doesn't matter. But it still is. It is. There is no other, like, position in the world that has that much influence and that much of a brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, carry on. Would you say so? Teachers,
firefighters, and police.
So really, because
firefighters, aside from fighting fires, of course, their first call for medical issues. Somebody's having a heart attack, they call fire first. Their first response.
Unless it's a private company.
Unless it's okay. But and if we were to expand it to 5, I would say doctors are pretty damn important, and the military are pretty damn important. Mm-hmm. The soldiers. Mm-hmm. But who gets paid more than them? Everybody on the planet gets paid more than them. Stockbrokers get paid more than them. And going back to our main point, musicians.
But you think about it too, and not that I'm saying those people shouldn't make livable wages, which most of those people do make very livable wages after they've done that for quite a while.
Right, but
But again, relatively speaking, yes, they don't make $1 million a year.
Right.
Do I think they should? Yes, because of all the reasons you mentioned. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, those things, if you look at them, like doctors, teachers, firefighters, police, those are all like kind of almost like archetypal occupations that will never go away for the very reason you said, is that they're that integral to the basic, churning of society. And unfortunately, part of the reason why those jobs at the same time aren't viewed the way we view even politicians or celebrities or musicians or whatever is because, politicians should fit into that, is because they're civil service type jobs. The whole point of a policeman or a firefighter is they're serving the public. Their job isn't to make a profit. Their job isn't to, the more lives you save, the more money you make, which is how you run into your bankers and your stockbrokers, people that their job isn't to make you money. Their job is to make you money to make themselves money. Yeah. Whereas a teacher doesn't necessarily, as far as I know, that's not how it's structured, where, for every A you give out, you get a $100 bonus. Because if that was the case, what would happen? Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm not dogging that at all. I'm saying that's what you're facing. That's why you do have people that can go. I mean, look through, just flip through, your Explorer thing on like Instagram, and it's kind of changing now because now the way they kind of changed Instagram is where really most of the pictures you see that are random are based off of people that you know.
Yeah.
So people that
I like that. It's cool.
People that you know, will show up on my feed even though I don't know who they are, or friends of their friends.
Right.
And honestly, like it's cool, but I think you should mix it up more because before it was just random. It was whatever I think was popular, or whatever that had the most likes,
trending,
or whatever stuff like that. But if you look at it, there's a whole like industry for this. I don't know if you've seen this, Mike. There's an industry for like, and it's mainly a girl thing, I guess, but like fashion blogging and like fashion Instagram, where like girls are like, I bought this cute outfit, it's so and so and so and so, and shoes by so and so, and they get paid to do this. Like there's girls that make
I've
like
seen that stuff.
tons and tons of money, and all they do is like wear clothes and take pictures of it, and then like rate it on their like blogs. Yeah. Again, like more power to you because that's the country we live in.
We could do the same thing with this podcast. We could change it to guys' clothes.
Yes, but if anyone took a picture and saw what any of us were wearing right now, we would obviously.
I'm wearing a Slow Like Fire shirt. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go.
Local music right there.
You go.
That's super cool.
There you go. And we've got 2 T-shirts. We got 2 Star Wars T-shirts and a local band T-shirt. So we're on our way to millionaires.
I would agree with the teachers or educators in general, for sure. Don't want to forget the utility workers. Getting the trash taken care of. Can you imagine if we had to deal with the trash ourselves? Like how much trash would pile up if you had to have the responsibility of hauling it yourself?
Yeah, and these people don't go on strike like sports players do. Oh, I didn't get my money.
Actually, they do. States have unions and things like that.
Well, but okay, yeah, never mind.
I'm sorry,
squash.
That's a whole other thing.
No, I'd rather be corrected than.
There are teachers' unions and firefighters' unions and police unions.
That was a stee.
Sorry. Someone was gonna.
Mario, you just got put on the grill.
It's a pretty good grill sound.
But at the same time, and a friend of mine always brings up to me, which is a good point, is because of the hard work of a lot of those, not just those jobs you mentioned, but other types of, electrical workers and sanitation workers and all the other type of industries and things like that. Because of the work of those, a lot of those industries and their unions, that has, obviously given people in other industries that aren't unionized better pay and better days off and holidays and insurance and all that things. So, I mean, that is all tied in. And you could. I mean, like, it's easy for us to gloss over because we don't think about that. Like, I don't think about, like, someone like a machinist, Like, honestly, I don't know what a machinist does, but I know they probably have a very important job. Because they, fabricate metal for, your gas tank in your car or your air conditioning system, whatever it is. I don't even know. I'm probably wrong. But whatever they do that I can't do, is probably vital to.
But isn't it funny how like the most vital stuff is like at the bottom, like it's a reverse pyramid.
But again,
so you were saying teachers and utility workers, right?
Well, yeah, and again, keep in mind that the government, to a point, funds those things. You could really get into the business of all of this, like talking about like specifically teachers. Like in Texas, at least, a large part of the teacher, is funded through what's called, I think, the general fund, and that usually comes from like the maintenance and operations budget, and that part of that is funded through the tax valuations of homeowners that live in certain districts. A percentage of their tax bill goes into the education side of it, and then again the government is required to fund part of that, and something like that. But anyway, no matter how we slice it, we're still talking about someone else's job to make sure that these people are paid in basically non-income generating situations. Whereas if you are Kanye West and you put out a CD and you're going to tour 80 times in an arena that sits 20,000 people and charge $150 per ticket, every single time he sells out 18,000 arenas, multiplied 18,000 seat arenas times $150 a ticket, you start adding up all that money times 50, 60 tour dates. That's income being completely 100% generated by us. We are paying for that. So he's not making that salary. Yeah. We're handing over our post-tax money to him.
Yeah.
And we're basically saying, here, take my money. You've provided me entertainment value or meaning or whatever you want to call it.
You're putting the worth on that.
Yeah.
Because you spend that money.
Right.
So isn't that sad?
Well, I mean, Is it sad because the people that are spending that money are getting happiness out of it, and they're going home and improving their lives, hopefully. It doesn't matter who it is. I could have said Pink Floyd or Nine Inch Nails or whatever. It doesn't matter, you know, or go see a movie or whatever it is. But the point is, you know, those people are making that kind of money because of our population. If the United States was only the size of
Ghana.
I don't know what the size their country looks like. Well, let's say it's only the size of
What's their gross
a smaller
national
state,
population?
like Oklahoma. Let's say the United States was the size of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
These celebrities and all these musicians and stuff could never make that kind of money because the sheer numbers. Let's say our population, instead of it being 300 and whatever million, let's say our population of our country was only 10 million. Mm-hmm. Well, now you're only talking about potentially getting somewhere underneath 10 million people to fund your activities and your passions and your art. So it's just that we're such a gigantic country. You can basically fund the arts in going city to city, big city, small city, mid city, and, you know, internet purchases and all this stuff. And again, if you have something that's going to appeal to the masses as far as the United States goes, you're going to make an insane amount of money. Whereas in another country, you may not be as successful unless, and then that's not including the global appeal. Now I'll talk about that same artist generating international dollars too. So you don't have the same situation for educators and police because, you know, the city police are funded by the government, you know, whether it's city and state and federal, blah, 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 you know, it all ties into the same thing, but they have to basically design a budget that says, where do we make money from? As far as I know, the police don't have like an income generating business.
Right.
Writing tickets.
Yeah, but that's the point, right?
Yeah.
That's the point, you know, is
there you go.
Then go to firefighters. Where's their income generated? They don't, you know, I mean, insurances or when they go and do a fire. I mean,
because more than likely they're operating at a loss.
Well,
or they're having to make up the difference.
The point is that their budgets are created out of thin air. That's
Yeah.
part of the whole, you know, operating budget for the United States is to say, you know, the government as a country and then each state has these budgets that are basically generated out of what it takes to run these things and the gas and the basic salaries. And so you have to pay them in these median type ways. And I'm not saying I agree with it. It does suck. I agree with you. It does suck.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no other way to slice it until someone mandates that we're willing to get into 15 times the national debt we currently have so that we can make sure every teacher gets a minimum 100K salary and every firefighter gets a minimum 200K salary. You know, maybe the doctors will say, oh, cool, they're making as much as me. Or maybe they'll say, well, now I want to make 900K instead of 250K.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But
Or,
all of that, you know, is tied into the way the governmental system regulates, you know, how these, you know, how the pie gets divvied up, I guess.
Yeah. Or you could fix that by having Kanye West teach history to ninth graders.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work.
That'd be pretty cool.
Real quick, Ghana's population in 2012 was 25 million.
And ours?
Texas alone is 26 million.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
So, and Texas's GDP alone is more than Ghana's.
Wow.
Wow, how much
It's
is
in
it?
the trillions. Actually, not the trillions. I made that up.
Was our very first episode, Mario, the one you said that has been listened to quite a bit? Was that the one we talked about the gym and all that stuff? Working out and all that? Was that one of the first early ones?
It was like a grab bag, yeah.
Good and buff.
I'm excited that this coming Saturday I'll be doing my very, very first ever 5K run, which I've never done.
Nice.
Which 5K is
Dude, you're shredded, dude. I can tell.
3.1 miles, right? So I
I
decided
don't know.
I signed up for it. I signed up for
how
it
fit we
like 5 months ago. I signed up for it, and I knew I'd have 5 months to start prepping for it. So I decided a really great time to start training for it would be yesterday.
Yesterday, nice.
So yesterday, I got on the treadmill at the gym and squeaked out 2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then today I woke up and every part of my body is sore, killing me.
man.
Feels
Yeah.
like I got beat by a truck. But I still hauled myself over there and got on today and did 1 mile, and then I couldn't take any more just to kind of work through the soreness. But we'll see how it goes. More than likely, I'll be last, if not one not to finish, or I'll be one of those guys in this news story that's like, you know,
Died.
someone died on the thing or
But you know what's
got hauled
cool?
away. But, you know.
You know what's cool about the 5K thing? And I've only run one before, and I didn't do well. I finished it. But
I'm probably going to walk it. It's not going to be a legit run.
And that's what I was going to
honestly.
say. That's what's cool is that, like, I mean, in races and marathons, I mean, there's always people that are, like, competitors and they're trying to win or trying to beat their personal records and all that sort of thing. But the vast majority of people that I know that run, like they actually enjoy running and they do it for health and all that, is most of them will say like, yeah, like most people like you just run and you just to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll say like, yeah, I walk sometimes, or if I do a marathon or a half marathon, I walk part of it and then I'll run it. And it's like it's interesting because I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was just people that are like hardcore. And I did that 5K and there was plenty of people walking. Yeah, you know. And then on the same token, there's like a kid who's like 10 years old who's like, you know, running past everybody and, you know, probably beats half the people because he's 10 years old. You know, he can do that. It's only, 3 miles. Yeah. But it is interesting, and it's cool that you're doing that. Like, it's cool because it's a nice little test. You know what the honest inspiration was for it is that I just see it everywhere. Like every single person or people around me that I know frickin' runs. And I'm like, my whole life I've been a basketball player and that's it. For me, exercise is going to the gym and playing 2 to 3 hours of basketball, drenched in sweat, and I hit my 3-pointers and I stay away from the inside if I can avoid it so I don't get some ridiculous injury, and I try to pretend to play defense even though I really can't stop people because I have no lateral movement, and that's what my working out has been. And then over the years I'll try to lift weights for a while, and it doesn't take for more than 2 or 3 weeks and then it's over and the weights thing goes away. Or I've never really picked anything else up. I've never really picked up biking, although I have a bike. I've never picked up any other kind of activity, and running is the last thing. Even in high school when I was in shape, if you could call it being in shape, I hated running. And for freshman basketball, the initial tryout, it wasn't even who has basketball skill. The initial tryout was at school was they had us run up Shook Avenue and go all the way to the mansion or whatever and just come back. That was the initial. I don't even think it was the try. It was just, all right, everyone that wants to try for the team, you're going to go do this run. And I was like one of the last guys, and I'm like, my gosh, it's not even close. Like, how could someone voluntarily do cross country or track? You know, although track is a separate thing. I really love the idea of speed running. Sprinting is fun, but like long distance running, I can't think of anything worse. You know, I try to run around the neighborhood, you know, here and there, and my left shin splints start acting up, or my right foot feels like it's on fire, or I get a twisting pain in the lower back.
I get all that when I wake up in the morning. Exactly. I get out of bed. Exactly. I twist an ankle every time I get out of bed.
So where's the inspiration to make it even worse? But anyway, I'm excited to give it a shot. My cousin's going to do it with me. It's a nighttime run, and it should be fun, if not for just the novelty of doing it. I don't think I'll turn into Jeff and start doing like 7-mile runs just for warm-ups. Yeah, I think of what's the movie with Billy Crudup, the
Prefontaine.
Yeah, the Prefontaine movie where him and Jeremy Sisto and they're like, "Hey, want to go do an easy 10?" And they're talking about 10 miles.
Yeah, it's
right,
without limits,
man.
right?
Without limits. Yeah,
the Prefontaine's the Jared Leto one,
which is a great movie.
It is a great movie.
I would say Without Limits I like way more.
Yes,
but anyway,
which cousin, Anthony or?
My cousin Denise, who is
cool.
highly tuned athlete.
I was going to say.
She's a highly tuned athlete, and she's an assistant softball coach for university. So, of course, naturally, she'll have to tolerate, either she can stay with me and suffer going snail pace.
Maybe she'll carry you.
Or she can carry me.
What I was gonna say.
Or she'll just finish. She'll just finish and say, get there whenever you get there.
Yeah.
And
I'll come back with the car.
Right. But my goal...
she goes, I'll just do a... I'll just do a 10K. That way I can come back and get
you. Like, I reached the end. I'm going to go watch a movie, and then I'll come back and pick you up when you're done.
So it should be fun, but
that's cool, man.
It'll. Since I started training for it yesterday, and it's this Saturday, I'll try to see if I can force myself for 1 week at least to be a gym head and be in there each week. I've also tried to do a little bit of swimming just to add some lung capacity. So we'll see if any of that goes well.
Sweet. It's funny you bring that up. This last week I actually went to the gym 3 times.
Nice.
And I haven't gone to the gym.
Did you stay or did you just take a peek?
No, I stayed. I actually got on the bike. I got on the bike and I rode.
Nice.
So, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, what's good?
I'm hoping. And I'm training too. I'm training not to die. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do is stay alive.
I mean, he's a survivalist, is what he's saying.
No, I'm meaning I'm pretty out of shape. Like we live on the 3rd floor. In the 3rd floor apartment, and that every time I go up the stairs, I'm almost dead. By the time I get to the door, we get in the stairs like, "Oh, can you help me with the groceries?" And I'm like,
"You need P90X3 Extreme
Insanity."
It's funny. I actually downloaded that.
Why?
Insanity.
Why?
Torrented
for people.
Insanity.
For people at work because we were doing the whole thing.
What? You downloaded it and distributed it, not just for yourself.
You would go to jail for other people to not use insanity.
I'm saving lives here.
Huh?
I'm saving lives.
Yeah, but
people aren't dying.
You're gonna go to prison for like 10 years for copyright infringement, intellectual property theft, and then you're gonna be like,
But you won't
well,
you won't let us play a one pop song on the podcast.
Oh, you wouldn't let me do the
Well,
one.
this is a little bit different. Yeah.
The duet. Couldn't do the duet, man.
From Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
man.
God, you can't even say the name. Bzz.
Oh,
dude.
Saved by the Buzz.
You did the other day. You did for the other show.
But yeah, so he's gonna be in prison. He's gonna be like talking to like his wife on the phone. He's like, "What? This is all worth it." And she'd be like, "Why?" It's because all my coworkers are alive. They're all in good shape. And she'd be like, "No, they never even used it because no one ever uses that stuff. They
used it for like a week and
then they get hurt.
No,
and
you know
they
what
don't
I
do
did?
it again.
I watched some of it. And I'm like, after
You
like
watched it.
Yeah,
You're a pervert. That's a pervert.
What?
If you watch workout videos and not work out, you're a pervert.
I was like, how feasible is this?
Did you install a pull-up bar in your house?
No.
In some ridiculously impossible place where you can't find your what's it called? The things in the walls?
Yeah.
Studs?
Where do you find
Studs.
that?
Thank
Yeah.
you. I was going to say struts. Studs.
Those aren't pull-up bars. Those are hangers. in your pants for tomorrow on those.
Or
things.
they're asphyxiation devices to tie your arms to.
Too
Autoerotica.
soon, man. Too soon.
Kung fu.
Kill Bill.
All right. Well, that's yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
so.
we're good because
Just for complete honesty, guys, we're that conspiracy episode that took like a huge chunk of time, like really wound down a lot of our hosting. So you're getting shorter episodes.
So give us
at least
money
for the
if
rest
you
of
want
this
more
month.
4-hour episodes.
Yeah, and you
Suck
can
mine.
do that by visiting 210localmusic.com/audible and get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial. And we get $15.
you're good.
And then you can quit
Shillin'.
after you download your book. And
Snake oil.
You can quit, and we'll still get the money, and you won't get charged anything. But you do have to have an Amazon.com account or whatever. It has to be hooked up, of course, to a card or whatever. That way, at the end of it, it'll charge you if you forget.
So you just have to
don't forget.
be sure that you give some Russian gang your credit card information.
Or a
And
Nigerian
we'll
prince.
sure you.
I am
Very
a
nice.
Nigerian
Very
prince.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and hopefully we'll catch you on another short episode next week.
See
Take
you
care.
next time.